Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Season 1, Episode 3 of Gannibal. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, I was kind of almost wondering, it's like, okay, so where's this beginning taking us? It never crossed my mind that we were diving into Daigo's past until Daigo showed up. I was like, interesting. So we're going to find out how he ended up at Kuge Village in the first place. What did he do that was so bad? Because I brought this up last episode about Daigo just seems a little off, and like his daughter is giving Mashiro, which it's weird hearing her talk considering she hasn't said a line of dialogue for the first two episodes, for her to be talking and kind of giving this report in school being like, hey, people praise my dad and everything, but he's super violent, and it's like, yeah, he beats people up, and even bad guys don't want to get hurt, even bad guys feel pain, and it's like, yeah, Daigo's got some deep-seated anger issues, because he's a super aggro cop and he beats the hell out of suspects like that. They're chasing after that one guy, and I mean, maybe it's very specific criminals he beats the crap out of, or maybe it's just everyone. This guy, it's like, oh, you attacked an old lady. I don't know whether that guy's victims are all old ladies or what, but Daigo sure as hell beat the hell out of him, and it's like, wow, that's wild. And even when he read Mashiro's report, he was almost like, oh, wow, she's actually a super genius. And Yuki's like, oh, you idiot. Because after Mashiro was done, she was like, right, don't get mad at kids or yell at kids or beat kids. We don't like that or something like that. And all the kids turn to their parents and they're like, yeah, stop. And it's just like, and then Mashiro turns to her mom and gives her the thumbs up, and her mom motioning, telling her to put her thumb down. It was so cute. But then we had the whole Tsubasa situation, where Daigo chases after him. I was like, did he do something to Mashiro at first? But it's like, no, he's a pedophile who has taken an interest in Mashiro. And it's because she's young enough to not really know it. She's like, oh, no, he's just my friend. He's really nice to me. And Daigo was like, hey, you stay away from her. If you don't, I will kill you. And then we find out later on why he never did anything to Mashiro. It's because he has a special interest in Mashiro. He's like, oh, I'd never hurt her. Because anytime he did anything to any children, when he groped them, he would, God, Jesus, it's just fucking disgusting just talking about it. He'd apologize afterwards, and it's just like, that doesn't mean anything. Obviously, it doesn't mean anything to me, and also means even less to Daigo. That's why he just is like, no. I don't care, apologetic or not. You've done what you've done. You're a sick bastard. You need to be taken care of. So, he's got a vested interest in Mashiro. He loves her, and he would never hurt her, is kind of his thing. That's why he doesn't do what he does. So, but when they were staking out Tsubasa's place, they end up finding Mashiro there, and Daigo breaks the glass. And I love how they divided that up in the episode. That moment is where we cut back to him present day, and it's like, okay, so whatever went down in Tsubasa's place, it's what escalated to Mashiro being quiet and Daigo getting shipped off to Kuge Village. So he wakes up being like, oh, what happened? And it's like he remembers what happens, but then Kisuke and the others show up. They were looking after Yuki and Mashiro because he's like, yeah, the rest of my family's crazy. I think he's kind of the head of the family, so he has a responsibility to kind of keep them in check, a la a Goonie from Alice in Borderland. It's like, I meant to keep these wild people in check, but he's also not I don't know. Because even later on, Sumiri's like, yeah, that family's nuts, except for Kisuke, almost being like, he's a good guy. So I think he's done everything he can to rein his family in. But obviously, the relatives that are with him now are the more reasonable ones. The super extremist crazies are the ones that were, what's his name, Matsuo? It's him and the others are the extremists. And it's like, they're the ones came after your family. So I went over your family. I admit I went about it the most creepy, scary way last episode. But it's like, no, I'm here. I was there to protect your family, to look after and to make sure the other relatives didn't hurt you. And it's like, yeah, oh, so-and-so walks over and being like, yeah, my brother's the one that attacked you. I'm so sorry. But he's like, Daigo's like, no, you're lying, because I remember who attacked me with the sickle, which I could not remember that weapon's name at all last episode. I kept being like, oh, a little scythe. I could not think of the word sickle. It's like, he's like, that guy's the one who attacked me. And he's also the one that was at the funeral thing. And Kisuke's like, what are you talking about, man? You're crazy. We don't have anyone like that in our family. And Daigo getting a little aggro is like, oh, you're trying to make fun of me? It's like, dude's got deep-seated anger issues. And I'm curious, like, where that comes from. It might just be a police officer thing that he's the last person you want as a police officer because maybe he gets a little power trippy and I don't know, he's just got some deep-seated anger, so... He wants to take Yuki and Mashiro to go pick up their stuff and I guess get like a police protection to look after him while he investigates things. And that's when he runs into Sumiri, who's like, oh, I heard about what happened to you. And he's like, yeah, I think he didn't let her know about the finger thing because last thing he wanted to do was worry her even more because she's already concerned. Obviously, the last time she was here around her dad was acting wild and she couldn't handle it, so she ended up leaving. And obviously in that time frame, that's when he ended up going to confront the Gotos and then ended up disappearing. So, obviously looking at everything with him, his wife, and his child, she lost, obviously, her dad in all of this, and she just doesn't want Daigo to make the same mistake and lose. So she's like, I hope you don't lose anything in the process of all of this. And it's like, I don't know, man. It's one of those situations, like, I don't even know if Daigo is going to make it out of this. Maybe his family will, like Yuki and Mashiro, but maybe Daigo won't, or maybe none of them will. You hope that it all works out, but for a story like this, I mean, unless you've read the manga, like, you don't know, like, whether or not this will work out in their favor or not. But it's not till he got to he ended up finally telling Yuki the truth about, like, because for him, it's like, right, she's like, why won't you listen to me? Like, the fact is your predecessor went missing. This place is not a good place. So, like, he's like, right, maybe you should take, because she's like, next time we were in danger, maybe I should just end up taking Mashiro. And he's like, maybe that's a good idea. And she's like, you idiot, you're part of this family. For her, it's like, you're just going to go off and do whatever you want to. It's like, why won't you ever just listen to me? But then he tells her about the finger. He's like, I believe it's Kono's. So he's like, I think the Gatos might have him, but he doesn't know for sure. And he talked to the chief police in a nearby station outside of Kuge village. And the guy, he's from the village and he grew up there, but he's also known like, yeah, you don't get involved with the Gotos. It's also when Daigo's like, oh yeah, they attacked me. He's like, was it unprovoked? And he's like, yes. Like, why would you even? It's like, well, we know about your record. We know who you are and what you did, what you got in trouble for to be here in the first place. So, of course, we're going to wonder, it doesn't put you in the best light. It makes him kind of have to be like, yeah, I guess I can't really blame him. He doesn't put up too much fight because he knows, yeah, based on my record, based on who I am, I can't really blame them for being hesitant in believing me with that. And also they're just telling him, it's like, you are involved in this case as a victim, so you can't investigate it. Spend time with your family. And I think legitimately he was going to let this go because, well, he needs to be there for his family instead of going off doing this. It's like, what, am I really doing this just for Kono, or am I not Kono, Kano, because Kono is Tsubasa's last name. But he's like, am I really just doing this for Kano, or am this just my instinct to be like, oh, they came after me, so I'm just trying to get revenge by going after them? Because not the others who attacked him, some of them are still out there. Not all of them have turned themselves in. Specifically, I want to say it's Matsuo. He's the main dude that's super aggro towards Daigo. He ends up getting Nakamura, the ME, to come out because they have Daigo's phone and they pretend to be him. It's like, yo, I need you to meet me in this location. And hopefully he got out of that okay. They proceeded to break every finger on his hand. And they also were like threatening to kill his dog, which was like heartbreaking. So trying to lead Daigo into a trap. It's like, oh, you're supposed to meet us at the hospital, which I think that's interesting. I was like, I guess it's like, right, meeting him at the hospital is the least suspicious place, but I was like, why would you pick the hospital? Like, you wouldn't be able to do anything. It's such a public place. I guess they really don't care, because they popped off in a public place. Like, they're just, like, the detective is driving Daigo, and all of a sudden, guys, like, they, like, corner him, and, like, they're in a, I mean, it's like it's a tunnel, but still, it's super public. I guess they didn't care. I'm like, man, like, you'd still go down for this, but I'm like, were you going to kill every witness that was involved? I guess, honestly, they weren't thinking. They're just like, oh, we're going to kill Daigo. I'm actually super glad the guy that's with Daigo who was driving him didn't die. I was like, oh man, he's going to get shot at some point in time, but like, luckily he didn't. So, and like I said, I love how they cut in all of that with kind of giving us the conclusion to Daigo's story when it comes to the whole Tsubasa thing. We also see why, because I figured it had to have something like whatever went down in the past. Yuki got super upset when Mashiro was doing origami in like the first episode or something like that, and I figured it had something to do with why they're there in the first place. But now we know she went to Tsubasa's house, and obviously Daigo started beating the crap out of him. But then Mashiro was like, "I'm the one that came here." He's like, "You don't know what he did," and Mashiro's like, "I do." It's like, wow. And she's like, I can't hate him because he's been nothing but nice to me. And she thinks if at the very least, if she's very nice to him, maybe he won't be bad anymore. You know, that's all it takes. And it's like, it's that interesting juxtaposition of Daigo's just like, oh, you're a bad guy. Boom. You do this and that. It's like, that's the very good-hearted approach that Mashiro has, but even I'm like, I don't know if enough people have that. I don't think I'd have it in me to be like, oh, try to have a positive spin on, not positive spin on it, geez, but like try and come at it from such a human level like that, level-headedness. I mean, you can make the argument, it's like, right, you're a kid and you're naive, but she's also she's smart enough to realize and understand what he's done, but also he has been nice to her, and it's like, right, if I can help be nice to him, then maybe he won't do what he's doing anymore. So it's kind of like her form of, what prison's supposed to be, rehabilitation. I mean, it's more so like that in other countries than it is. I think it's a really big, like, rehabilitation. Like, it's really big in Sweden. I don't know if every country, but, like, especially a lot of countries outside of the U.S., prison's more of a rehabilitation thing. I think I think at the peak of it is, like, Sweden. I think their jail system is very rehabilitory. I don't know if Japan's prison system is like that or not. I mean, I don't know. I won't even. That's a whole conversation. Like, like I said, I'd be talking from a place of ignorance, so I won't go down that route. But it made Daigo kind of like calm down and stop seeing his daughter's like reaction. But then Tsubasa, who legitimately was touched by Mashiro, being like, he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Touch was kind of the wrong word to use there, sorry. But then he grabs her and he's like, right, I can't live without you, so let's die together. And he puts the knife to her neck, and like we're cutting back and forth between present day and the shootouts happening, and Daigo's got the gun in his hand because he hadn't used a gun prior to now, and now he is used. I guess that's also why he like froze up when it came to the bear situation, why he didn't immediately jump on that, because kind of got some like trauma from, did he fire on the bear? I actually don't remember now. But when the opportunity came, he's also making sure not to kill these guys because he shot their legs. It's like he's beaten up suspects, but he's never, I think Tsubasa's the first person he's ever killed on a job. And so in that moment, he's trying to take down everyone without killing them. Especially the final guy, like Matsuo, and ends up beating on him, and he admits, like, hey, I'm the one that killed Kano. But I mean, we don't know for sure. All we saw is like when Kano was at when he did. Well, all we saw was like a hook around his neck, that sickle around his neck. So that's the go-to weapon for that man. So we don't know. I think he's just taking the fall, being like, "Oh, it's me," but it's like I don't know. Or maybe he did, and maybe it was somehow. I was about to say not less it was an act of mercy, but I don't see him being the most merciful of the family. But he's like, "Oh, I'm the one that did it." I mean, we don't know. The sickle just seems to be that man's go-to, but maybe it was actually him who actually did it. And Daigo's thinking back, because the guy's like, hey, I know what you did. He's like, I just did what I had to do to protect my family. I know that you, above anyone else, would understand that. And he ended up killing Tsubasa, headshotted him, and Matsuo was there. Like, that is like a super traumatic thing of like, yeah, it's understandable why she doesn't speak anymore. In that moment, like when Tsubasa died, he fell back with her in his arm, and she's laying there, blood on her face, half her face, and in her mouth, laying on him. And Daigo's like, are you okay? And she's like, I tasted blood. And then, like, she literally passed out. Like, she kind of might have had a seizure or something, because, like, her eyes rolled back when she passed out. The stress of the situation just might have been too much of an overload for her system, and probably the moment because that was the last word she spoke before she passed out. And I think in that it's kind of getting Daigo to kind of get a little, I think, retrospective on a lot of stuff, and especially in this moment because I think this is probably the first time he's straight up like fired at human beings and been in a situation because it's like, yeah, that's why I'm here. I killed that guy. I mean, I also like busted in there, beat the crap out of him, and maybe because I would assume, I think Japan's one of those countries that's like super like your gun better be the very, very last resort, and even then it's still a big no-no to use it. I think I'm fairly certain Japan's one of those type of countries, so it probably was a thing of like that's why he didn't get fired. He just got relocated. It's like, or I guess maybe in a way kind of almost demoted, but maybe there could have been I think probably the argument is like maybe they're probably arguing Daigo could have handled that. I mean, many different ways. Busting into the guys. I mean, it is your daughter, but beating the crap out of the suspect. I don't know, because like there's always a chance that, well, Matsuro said that she came here to say goodbye to him. Cause now I'm wondering too, like, was the origami thing a thing between them? Is that why she specifically made him? And that's also interesting too, because like it was in the form of a butterfly, and the butterfly's the last thing you saw at the end of last episode when Kisuke and the others rolled up at Yuki and Mashiro last episode. So I don't know. That's probably also why like Yuki was like, stop doing that, because it was specifically he's probably the one that taught her origami, so it's kind of a thing between them. So it's like we don't need a constant reminder, that guy, that monster. So, and it's interesting. It's gonna be definitely interesting to see what Daigo does after this, because he had just talked to Yuki earlier. He's like, hey, I'm going to stop by the hospital really quickly, and I'm going to come back, and you and me, we're going to talk about what we're going to do going forward, because this is going to be the last thing. I'm not going to be a part of this case. We're going to, I'm just going to kind of put this to bed, and, we can kind of focus on us as a family. Now that he kind of it's like, wow, those guys came after me, and this is the last of them, but is he really just going to let this go? We'll ultimately have to wait to see how things kind of play out. Because the chief did talk, because of what Kano brought up. I mean, because of what Daigo brought up about Kano, they are reopening the whole well, let's look into what Kano let's get the criminal affairs division to kind of look into what that's all about. So we'll definitely see where all this ends up taking us going forward in the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.